Hello everybody, welcome to Business English class. This is Megan. Thank you for joining me today. Today's topic is formal and informal language for business. Now, again guys, I only have 15 minutes to record this message, so I will tell you to pause the video at certain points and you can complete the accompanying worksheets that I have attached to the email. Okay, so let's go. What are we going to do today? Well, today we are going to use appropriate formal and informal language, introduce softening phrases, write and proofread formal and informal letters, and review the present simple and continuous tenses. So, formal and informal language, let's go. If you have a partner or a friend or a housemate, pause the video here and discuss the question. When do we use formal language? I am just going to move on. So, when talking to your boss, when talking to someone you have just met, when writing a job application and writing to make a complaint or an inquiry. Now, pause the video here and discuss this question with a friend. When do we use informal language? Well, when talking to a friend or a family member, when talking to a colleague that you know well, when writing a letter, email or a postcard to a friend, or when writing a tweet or a text message. So now that we have looked at formal and informal language, open and read page 24. Read the sentences and say whether you think they are formal language, F, or informal language, I. So this is that document. Read the sentences. Are they F or I? You can pause the video here, but I am just going to move on. So now that we have looked at what formal and informal language is, let's look at language we can use for speaking and meeting people. Open the formal and informal language for meeting people document. In exercise 1, talk about the language you might use in these situations. So, in pairs or with a friend or a housemate, read the sentences. What would you say in the following situations? You can pause the video here to complete that exercise. Now, open the link, listen to the 5 mini recordings, match the recordings to the situations in exercise 1. And these are the recordings. So listen and match.
Dialogue 1. Hi, I'm Alice.
Nice to meet you, Alice. I'm Simon.
Dialogue 2. Hello, you must be Robert.
Yes, that's right.
I'm Alice.
Nice to meet you. I've been looking forward to meeting you.
Me too. I've heard a lot about you. Dialogue 3. Good morning. My name is Alice Johnson. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. Please take a seat, Mrs. Johnson. The doctor will be with you shortly. Dialogue 4.
I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Robert Coulson.
How do you do, Mr. Coulson?
How do you do? Please come this way.
Dialogue 5. Do you two know each other? George, this is Simon.
Nice to meet you, Simon. Nice to meet you too.
Okay, so you can listen again and play that back if you want to. You can pause the video here if you need to, but I am just going to continue with the lesson. So in exercise 2, match the phrases with the answers. And if you need the answers, they are at the end of that document. Number 3, read the conversation in exercise 3. This is an informal way to introduce someone. Read the second conversation. This is a formal way to introduce someone. Fill in the blank spaces with like or have. And exercise 4. If you have a housemate or a friend, role play introducing yourself and introducing someone else to others. The answers to those exercises are on the last page of that document. You can pause the video here while you complete them. But I'm just going to move on. So the last exercise that we're going to do today, guys, is exercise 5 and exercise 6. Watch 2 videos of colleagues talking to each other Listen to the dialogues and answer the questions in exercise 5. These videos have been attached to the email that I sent, so download the videos and watch the videos and complete the questions. Then listen again and fill in the blank spaces. You can pause the video here while you do that, but I am just going to move on. So, spoken formal or informal language practice. Using any new language from exercises 1 to 5, open and read page 27. It is attached to the email. Rate these spoken sentences from 1 to 5, where 1 is completely informal and 5 is extremely formal. This is that worksheet. So read the sentences, rate the sentences from 1 to 5, where 1 is completely informal and 5 is extremely formal. And if you need the dictionary, this is a colloquial dictionary for page 27. You can pause the video here if you need some of these words. And this is the worksheet again if you need it. You can pause the video to complete the exercise, but I am just going to move on with the lesson. Okay guys, so the second thing that we're going to look at today is formal and informal written language. So, writing formal and informal for letters. So, writing formal and informal language. Formal academic language is quite different from informal spoken English. Sometimes formal and informal English can seem like two different languages. Informal language uses more colloquial expressions and formal language is more polite. As we discovered in the last exercise, a colloquial expression is an expression that is from a particular area. So for example, in Dundalk, well is used as a greeting instead of hello, and that is an example of a colloquial expression. Now we're going to watch another video. This is a video from a woman called Cyan. Cyan's video highlights features of informal English and some ways you can make these aspects more formal. So listen to the video, write down 4 features of writing informal language and 4 features of writing formal language. You can pause this video here while you do that exercise. But I am just going to move on. Okay, so informal writing features, common words, phrasal verbs, short forms and short simple sentences. Formal features, formal words, full forms, passive structures and complex sentences. So, using those tips, click on the link and do the interactive quiz at the bottom of the page. This is what the quiz looks like when you get to the bottom of that page. You can just click on Begin Activity and see if the sentences are formal or informal and choose the most formal option to complete the sentence. You can pause this video here while you do that, but I am just going to continue. So, using these tips, open and read page 25. Rewrite these sentences using formal English, and this is that worksheet. Now, there might be some words on the worksheet that we don't know, so this is our colloquial dictionary for page 25. So you can pause the video here while you complete page 25, writing the informal sentences in formal English. But I am just going to move on. So guys, the next thing that we're going to do is formal and informal written language. But we all like to take a break in English, so you can pause the video here and take your break. Go have your tea, go have your coffee, and come back and complete the rest of the lesson. So guys, welcome back from your break. We are going to look at softening phrases. What is a softening phrase? Well, softening phrases are also known as hedging. We use these phrases to soften what we say or write. They are an important part of polite conversation and are a less direct way of speaking. Softening phrases. A softening phrase is used when the person to whom we are making a request does not have an obligation to say yes, when we are making a big request, when we are making a request to someone who is at a higher level within the company, or when we are saying no. Examples of softening phrases. I was hoping you, I was wondering if you, do you think you, or I might be able to. Softening phrases to say no. One way to accidentally offend someone is by being too direct when saying no. We decline requests, offers, and invitations in a certain way, and that's simply saying no or no thanks isn't always acceptable. So instead, you can make a statement of regret, explain why the answer is no, offer an alternative if possible. Polite ways to say no. So polite ways to say no to a request, to an offer, or to invitations. You can pause the video here if you want to read them. How to use softening phrases or hedging. So I have a video here which highlights hedging. Watch the video, listen to the video, and write down 6 features of using softening phrases or hedging for formal language. You can pause this video here while you complete that task. But I am just going to move on. These are the answers. Verbs, the passive voice, that clause, modal verbs, vague language, and tone of voice. Now, open and read the Using Softening Phrases to Make Polite Requests document. Read the examples of softening language. Those examples of language have been used in this video, but you have them now in a document if you want to read them for yourselves. And with a partner, practice a conversation for making polite requests and a conversation for saying no politely. This is that document. So you see practice 1 and practice 1, choose a conversation and practice with a friend. You can pause this video here while you complete that activity. But I am just going to move on with the lesson. Now, written, formal or informal language practice. Using these tips, open and read page 28. Look up any new words in a dictionary and rewrite these sentences using formal English. And this is that document. You can pause this video here while you complete that. But I am just going to move on. Now guys, the last thing that we are going to do is writing formal and informal letters. Formal letters are letters to people who we don't know on a personal level. For example, in a business setting, we may write to find out information, to apply for a course, to make a complaint, to give information, or to send an apology. Your formal letter should include this. Pause the video and read this. A formal letter. Open and read page 98. This is a formal letter. Note the layout. There are 2 addresses. This is important. Why is this person writing this letter? This is the letter. If you look at the top right-hand side and the left-hand side, you have 2 addresses. The top right-hand side is the information of the person who is writing the letter or the company that it is coming from. And the left-hand side is the person that they're writing to. Note the layout as it's important. Now this brings us on to our portfolio or our exam question. The portfolio question. Open the National Pen QQI pages 53 and 55 document. Using the sample letter on page 98, correct the 2 business letters, document 3 and document 5. Include letter layout, spelling, punctuation, grammar and syntax, vocabulary, correct usage, tone and register. Save them and email them to me. You can pause this video here while you complete that activity. These are the 2 exercises. Read and proofread. Finally, thinking of the formal language, softening phrases and hedging discussed today, open the National Pen QQI pages 45 and 56 document. Write the informal letter on page 45 and write the formal letter on page 46. Save the 2 letters and email them to me. You can pause this video here while you complete that exercise. This is that document. And guys, the last thing just to say is name 2 things that you learned today. Was there anything new that you learned today? Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you all next week.